So our final talk before our break is going to be given by Lekang Jiang. He is a student currently at the University of Nottingham, but he's an incoming Cambridge student for next academic year. And he's going to be giving an ecosystem talk. So he's going to be speaking about how Flower now speaks C++. So over to you, Lekang.
Can you hear me and see it's green now?
Yeah, we can hear you. It looks fine.
Yeah, okay. So I can begin. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to make a presentation here. So today I'm going to talk about development of C++ client framework in the Flower. So the main content contains 4 parts. The first, I will brief review about federated learning and Flower. The second is I'm going to introduce why we want to develop a C++ client framework. And the next, I will introduce the implementation. And finally, I will show a simple example which illustrates that our framework can actually work. So let me review on federated learning and Flower. So the Flower is a federated learning framework which enables collaborative learning to train a shared model where they can keep the independence of datasets on each edge devices. So it solves the problem of limited data resources. And it also supports the flexibility of different machine learning frameworks such as TensorFlow, PyTorch, and also different environments such as the computer languages. And this is what I'm going to talk about is the C++ client can interact with the Python server. So due to the advantages of Flower, it can support researching on many challenges, and it can also incorporate other federated learning strategies. So what is the federated learning process is the first client will train the model using their own local data and send the parameters to the server, and the server will call federated learning strategies, do the aggregation, and finally send back to each client. This is one round, and after several iterations, each client will receive a final result. So as you know that Python has been more and more popular in machine learning and deep learning field. So Flower server is written in Python, and it also supports many Python machine learning clients, such as TensorFlow and PyTorch. However, C++ is also very important in machine learning, and it also supports, it also has many critical applications such as robotics and automotive cars. And there are also many books about machine learning in C++. So here's the question. Individuals can build their own integration with Flower using the C++, but can we make this process simple? Or in other words, can we develop a framework to make this process easier? So let me explain in more details. This is the Flower server written in Python, which contains a gRPC server and some federated learning stuffs, such as the federated learning strategies. So gRPC is used for communications with the client side. And we have a laptop model in C++, and we want to interact with the Flower. However, they cannot be interact directly because data type are different. So here we need a gRPC client to interact with the server. The client will wrap the laptop model and send it to the server and get the responses. So this part is what we want to develop is the framework. And more specifically, we first have a C++ model, and the parameters will be wrapped in a C++ Flower type. Then it will be serialized to gRPC messages, and it will be sent to the Flower server, and it will call server functions, do aggregation, get the result, and send it back to the client. Then deserialize to Flower type, and finally extract to C++ parameters. So this part is what users have to define, and this part is what we want to develop is the client framework. And this part is the Flower server, which has already been written in Python. So as you can see, the client C++ client framework, there are two important things. The first is the Flower type, and the second is gRPC message communication methods. So how we implement this is that we first set up the gRPC compilation for C++. We download all the necessary libraries in gRPC used for communications. And then we define the C++ Flower type. This is because the data type in C++ and Python may be different. But if we use Flower type in both C++ client and Python server side, the serialized and deserialized process will be much easier and become communication much easier. And then we define abstract client interface so that the user, C++ user can simply extend from this interface and using Flower. Then we define serialized and deserialized methods for communication and message handling method. And finally, we start the connection to the server. So after we build the framework, we also try to develop a simple example to prove that our framework can work. So we want to do a simple linear regression task. Here is the equation. It's quite simple. And we simulate two clients, client 0 and client 1, and we randomly set some initial value. This is written in C++. And when the federated learning begins, the parameters will be sent to the server and do the aggregation and finally sent back to each client. They will receive the same result from the server and train separately using their own local data sets. You can see the train are different and each client finally gets a different result. And after that, this result will be sent to the server and do the federated learning and sent back to each client. You can see the clients always receive the same result from the server. And this time they will not do the train, they will do the evaluation. And also the validation sets for each client is also different. And the evaluating result will be sent back to the server. And this is one round. After this, it will do several iterations and the client will receive the final result. So after this, each client will receive the parameters from the server and do the train, get the result, send back to the server and do the evaluation. So after several iterations, clients will receive a final result like here. And then the connection is shut down. So this example shows that our C++ client framework actually works successfully. So what we are going to do next is we want to build more advanced examples such as deep learning in computer vision field or natural language processing and evaluate the performance. And also we want to explore other functionalities in C++. Finally, if you are interested in C++ or federated learning, you can join us and we can contribute to Flower together. So thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you for that talk.